All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're about a couple minutes after 10, so we should have most participants ready to go. Thank you for joining this morning. This is the 2022 NSCAS alternate training, test administration training. My name is Wyatt. I am from DRC, and I will be taking us through the training today. A couple things to point out. There will be a demo later on of the DRC Insight portal. And also some of the slides that we will be going through, I won't be going through in detail because those slides will be used as reference for folks when they are doing setup in the DRC Insight portal. So I will briefly talk about those slides, but I won't walk us completely through those. Because they are step-by-step on what needs to be done if you're doing this specific task in the DRC Insight portal. All right, so you should be seeing my screen with the PowerPoint, so we will get started. All right, first slide is the key dates. And the student pre-ID information was provided by NDE on January 20th. So that has already been populated in the DRC Insight portal. Tested admin training was yesterday afternoon and this morning. Once the training is done today, we will take a look at both of the recordings and see which one is best, and we will post it on the DRC Insight portal as well as the NDE website. Student and test management, we opened it up yesterday, so folks should have the ability to go in there and check and make sure that everything is set up correctly. If it is not, you can reach out to NDE or the DRC customer service. We'll be able to help you get users set up if you do not have access at this point. Student test booklets and test administration manuals are available for print, will be available for printing on March 3rd. The testing window is the 21st through March 21st through May 6th. And the last day to enter responses into the DRC Insight portal for demographics, accommodations, and testing codes is May 6th. Eligible grades for the NSCAS alternate testing are grades 3 through 8 and high school third year cohort for English, language arts, and mathematics. And then for science, we have grades 5, 8, and high school. Again, it's the third year cohort. And students are required to take all subjects of either the NSCAS general or NSCAS alternate tests for their eligible grades. Students may not take the NSCAS alternate for some subjects and the NSCAS general for other subjects. The online administration. The alternate assessment is available for online administration via the DRC Insight test engine. And the note that I wanted to point out was there had been some questions in the past on where users log into the test. So please see the DRC Insight portal guide for that information for the login process. For the test tickets, the users, which are the test coordinators and anyone who is administering the test, they are going to print those tickets on the DRC Insight portal. But the students will log into the DRC Insight test engine application. So, and that's typically set up by tech directors. So if they do not have access to DRC Insight, you will also have to give them access to download the DRC Insight test engine as well. So the users will have to allow the tech coordinators permission if that is necessary. Students capable of using touch-enabled devices or other computer-based input devices are able to respond to items themselves. And if students cannot select responses in a DRC Insight test engine, proctors will capture the students' responses and enter them into the online system to be scored. On-demand student test booklets are available for printing, and districts do not receive or return test materials. So the date is March 3rd that you should be able to print that information if necessary. The note, test administrators and proctors are not required to navigate through every item on the test if a student who is being administered the test does not or ceases to respond to items. Tests may be ended on the last item administered. So the proctor training video is detailed direction on administering the NSCAS alternate tests is posted to the NDE website, and the link is right here. Again, this will be posted to the NDE website and also to the DRC Insight portal. So you'll have access to that as well. A special note for external programs, and we've been getting, quite a few questions on this, or we've had conversations with Maggie Sis regarding this recently. So we're in the process of getting some of these sites set up. Some may already have access to the DRC Insight portal, but others, if you've been in contact with Maggie, we will get you set up in the next week or so, so you'll have access to this. Students attending an external program, Rule 18 ESU school or program, or an approved contracted agency are required to participate in the NSCAS testing. Districts need to reach out to the school program and make testing arrangements with the external program. Discuss your options and decide what arrangement is best for the student. And if staff at an external program needs access to the DRC Insight test engine, please contact the DRC customer service or Maggie Sis. So again, if you have been in contact with Maggie, we are in the process of getting you set up. And if you do have an external program that needs to be set up, please reach out to Maggie. All right. Scheduling for the test. Flexibility during the first 6 weeks of the window. Week 7 is intended for makeups, and makeups are required. And we recommend scheduling early in the window, so it gives you time to make up tests. And to allow flexibility in scheduling, testing across multiple test sessions and days, the online test tickets for the NSCAS alternate tests do not expire. So if you had a student, start on a Monday, they'd be able to log on again on a Wednesday or Thursday and continue testing. Those test tickets do not expire and they do not lock. Be certain proctors understand the key dates and the district's testing schedule. Test security. Tests are to be administered on a one-to-one basis. Test content is to be viewed only by those individuals directly responsible for the test administration. Test administrators and proctors should study the NSCAS alternate administration manual and become familiar with the test format prior to the test administration. Do not discuss, disseminate, or otherwise reveal the contents of the test to anyone. Do not keep, copy, or reproduce or use any test content. All printed materials, administration manuals, student test booklets, online test tickets must be destroyed locally by the end of the testing window. And all digital copies of files must be deleted or removed by the end of the testing window. Students must not be left alone with the test materials. Students cannot take test materials out of the testing site. Do not coach or provide feedback in any way, including prompting or answering questions related to the content of the test. Do not alter, influence, or interfere with the test response in any way. And refer to the NSCAS alternate administration manual for complete test security procedures. Lisa, I am going to mute you. If everybody could go ahead and mute themselves, that would be great. If you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We have folks from DRC and NDE that will answer the questions, and we'll also take some time to answer any questions here shortly. So the student information, students identified in advisor as taking the alternate assessment are pre-assigned to online test sessions. Students who weren't pre-identified must be added to the DRC Insight portal, student management application, and test sessions. Student details are pre-coded for pre-identified students, but must be entered for new students. Accommodations and testing codes must be entered in the DRC Insight portal, student management application, when applicable. So for any of these students that we received on that pre-code file in January, they are already in the system. Any of the new students you will have to add either manually or the upload student file, which we will go through here shortly. Enter, edit student information in the DRC Insight portal by the last day of the NSCAS alternate testing window, which is May 6th. And this is the first slide that I talked about previously, where it's kind of a step through or a reference for folks when they are setting up students or looking at student information in the DRC Insight portal. Slide 12 will cover the student detail and how to get into the edit view of a student. So right here we have steps 1 through 4 on how to edit a student. And slide 13, it walks you through which details on a student you can edit. So edit a student's name, date of birth, the fields provided. And this is, again, just a reference for folks. We will walk you through a demo, but this will be your guide when you're actually working in the system. Update the information in advisor. NDE will verify the student information before reporting. Accommodations. Accommodations for students with IEP and 504 plans and English language learners must be reported in the DRC Insight portal management application. Refer to the NSCAS accessibility manual on the NDE website for information on how to select, administer, and evaluate use of accessibility supports for instruction and assessment. And that link right there will bring you right to the manual. Accommodated testing materials. No accommodated versions of the NSCAS alternate assessment are provided. Districts may provide tests in large print or other format that supports the student's primary mode of communication. Districts must securely destroy any tests provided in these formats. NDE does not provide manipulatives objects for the NSCAS alternate tests, but they are allowed if they're in use as a normal part of the student's instruction and the student's IEP. IEP accommodations to be reported. Report the following accommodations in the DRC Insight portal. Student management application when applicable. So paper pencil, mathematical supports, assistive technology, and specialized presentation of test. The DRC Insight portal student management accommodations. Again, this is a step through on how to update the accommodations, and you will use this as a reference when you are in the DRC Insight portal. I will walk through a demo here shortly on how to update the accommodations. There are 2 ways to update the accommodations for a student. You can update them individually, which is slide 18, which walks you through the step-by-step on how to individually update a student's accommodations. And then slide 19 is option 2. And that way, for option 2, you can update multiple accommodations for multiple students. And I will also walk you through that here shortly. And then make sure to enter or edit accommodations by the last day of the NSCAS alternate testing window, which again is May 6th. Testing codes. Testing codes indicate reasons students weren't tested or specific conditions that apply to some students who were tested. Testing codes affect how students' results are reported in the statewide accountability system. Testing codes are not pre-coded. Every student in the DRC Insight Portal student management application must have a completed test result or testing code indicated by May 6th. So if a student did not complete the test, you should update it with an accurate testing code by May 6th. Here are the testing codes. We have the COVID-19 waiver, emergency medical waiver, parent refusal, student refusal, unable to test, exempt, full-time equivalency, invalid, not currently enrolled, other, and remove. Here are the conditional codes. We have the student not responsive. The student is unable to interact or respond to any item on the test. Credit is given for participation, must be indicated for each subject separately. Scores include the state are included in the state accountability system. And then general, the student was originally coded as an alternate student, but the district administered the growth assessment or ACT or the ACT. And this was stated previously, but tests may be ended on the last item administered. Test administrators or proctors are not required to navigate through every item on the test if a student is administered the test but does not or ceases to respond to items. Here is another slider for the DRC Insight Portal, the student management, the testing codes. And this is a step-by-step on how to enter the students' testing codes. Again, I will be given a demo here shortly on the testing codes as well as the accommodations. And this is the testing codes continued for the step-by-step. So at this point, I am going to pause and see if there are any questions in the chat before I get started with the demo.
Hi, Wyatt, it's Chandra. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat at the moment.
I only had one sent to me personally, and that was about the slide deck. So just a reminder, the slide deck will be located on NDE's website and in the DRC portal.
All right. So right now I'm going to do a demo and walk through the student view edit. I'm going to walk through the accommodations and I'm going to walk through the testing codes. So for the attendees, feel free to stop me at any time and ask questions as we go through this. All right, are you seeing the DRC Insight portal page?
Yes, we are.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, once I get in there, I'm gonna see my initial, once I log in, I'll see my initials in the upper right-hand corner. I am already logged in, so I am going to student management. And once I go to student management, I'm gonna click on manage students. And this, these options will look different for everyone. I have a few more permissions than most folks do, so your screen may look a little different than mine. So the first thing you want to do is make sure to click on the correct administration. Your district should auto-populate right here. And then for the school, you may have multiple schools within your district. You'll want to make sure to click on the correct site. I am going to be looking at grade 8 students. So I will find my grade 8 students. You will see last name, first name, their person ID, their date of birth, and their grade. Underneath the action, you will see the view edit, which looks like a paper pencil. And you'll click on that. And in here, you'll find all the student information. The red asterisk, those boxes are required when you're updating student information. So if you change that, you got to make sure that you are correct in that. The middle initial is not required, so it's not a huge deal. But users can go in here to edit any student information that they need to. You will also notice that the accommodations, testing codes, test sessions are all also located under the view edit for the student. So I can click on the accommodations and update those accommodations for the student. And again, you'll have to apply those for each assessment. I can also move into my testing codes. And again, this will be done closer to the end of the testing window for the testing codes to make sure that that information is correct. Populate each of the testing codes again for each assessment. And then I also have my test session information for the student. The test sessions are should already be created for all of your students. Again, minus those external sites. Those sites are new, so we're still populating those. Some of them may be done. But Form A or Form B was selected for your district by our psychometrics team. So those you cannot change. You got to make sure that you have the correct form. If you're going to print out paper pencil, you're going to want to make sure you have the correct form that you're inputting those students' responses into. All right, and now to update the accommodations for all. So once I have all the students, I know that this group of 8th graders needs all of their accommodations updated. I can update the accommodations for all. I know that they are all doing paper pencil for ELA, or they all have mathematical supports. I can check that box and save that, and that will update the accommodations for all. So if you have a group of students that you want to update the accommodations for all, this is the quickest way, so you don't have to do it manually, but you have to make sure that they all have the same accommodations. All right, were there any questions?
No, there are no questions in the chat at this point.
All right. We are going to move back to the PowerPoint.
So we just got a question from Cindy. Where do you go to print paper pencil copies of the assessment?
You won't have those yet. Those will be available on March 3rd. But those are going to be, and I will, we'll step through that here shortly. I'll show you the general information and where things are going to be located for that. But yeah, those won't be available at this time. They're not going to be available until March 3rd. But that's where you will find, I'll show you where you'll find a copy here shortly. Can you see the PowerPoint again, Chandra?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, test materials for proctoring the NSCAS alternate. NSCAS alternate administration manuals, the online test tickets printed from the DRC Insight portal, test management application, student test booklets for students requiring paper pencil administration, administration manuals and student test booklets are form specific, as I just stated. So each district was pre-assigned either Form A or Form B. So be sure the form on the manual and test booklet matches the form indicated on the online test ticket. So that means if you're printing a booklet for paper, you want to make sure, because the information is still input by the proctors back onto the online test, you want to make sure that they are the same form, so that you don't have a Form B that you printed and it's a Form A test ticket that you're put in the results on the DRC Insight test engine. Slide 29 is a step through of the general information and documents. Again, I will walk through this here shortly on how to get here and what you are looking for here. This is just for reference on how to access the general information. Test materials for proctoring NSCAS alternate. All NSCAS alternate administration manuals and student test booklets contain secure content and must not be downloaded electronically or stored locally. Printed NSCAS alternate administration manuals, student test booklets, and online test tickets must be stored securely until testing is finished. Do not send any materials to DRC. Districts are responsible for secure destruction of printed NSCAS alternate materials. The test management application. The DRC Insight test management application is a point of access for these online test administration activities. So the DRC Insight portal, you'll print the test tickets from there. You'll add new students to test sessions, and you'll monitor the testing status. You'll also update all of the accommodations, the testing codes, which we previously demoed. So all of that is going to be done in the DRC Insight portal. I put another quick note here that the DRC Insight test engine is where the students are going to log in using the test tickets. So I just want to make sure that we are differentiating the DRC Insight portal versus the DRC Insight test engine, where the students are going to actually test. And this slide is managed test sessions. And then this is to print the online test tickets. Again, this is a step-by-step process on how to do it. I will demo it here shortly on how to print the test tickets. It's best practice to add new students to test sessions before printing online test tickets. And that way you have them all, you're able to hand them all off at once, and you don't have to go back and print another and get a new roster. Adding new students. So this slide is how to add a new student to an existing test session. And again, I will walk through that here shortly. So we're gonna have add to an existing test session. And we're also gonna have our next slide, which is to add students when a test session has not been created for that student's grade. And adding new students, the system will verify student information meets requirements outlined in the file layout. Check back after a few minutes to see if the file was accepted or generated an error report. If an error report was generated, correct the errors shown in the test report and report the upload process until the file is free of errors. And students added using this process will be added directly to test sessions for the form assigned to their district. Student detail accommodations and testing codes can then be edited. So this is the recommended process for adding students when a new test session is needed. And that's a file upload or upload multiple students file. And I will walk you through that process. The upload multiple students file would be used if there's not a test session created for that grade. And you can also do it manually if you'd like. It's either way, it's fine. But if you had multiple students that you need to do, it's probably quickest to just do the upload multiple students file. Then that will place them directly in a test session as well. And you're not doing one student, then you get two more students and you're just adding them all manually, which will take you more time. All right, this is the testing status page. And again, it's a step-by-step on how to view the student status. And that's edit print ticket status, and under the action, it will show you exactly where that student is in the testing process. And then these are the three statuses. You'll have not started, in progress, or completed. And tests in the completed status are locked. So if you do find that that is incorrect, please reach out to DRC customer service and we'll get that taken care of. Again, as I stated previously, these tests should not lock overnight or even after a couple days. They should be open so that it's flexible scheduling for everybody involved. All right, so now I'm gonna show you another quick demo of the test management process. Chandra, do we have any questions right now regarding what we just went over?
I don't see any, Wyatt.
Okay. And are we seeing my DRC Insight portal page?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so again, you should be logged in. And you will go down to test preparation, test management, and then manage test sessions. So again, once you're in there, you'll see that you have administration. Your district should probably auto-populate unless you have access to multiple districts. And then your school, you may have to switch to it to make sure that they are in the dropdown. And I am going to click show sessions. And then you're going to have to find that appropriate session. And then once I am in there, I'm going to click on the view edit. And this is to add a student to a test session that is already created. So once I'm in there, it's going to provide all the information on the students that are already in that test session. It's going to give me the name, when the session begins. And then to add a student to an already existing session, I'm going to go down and I'm going to click new student. So once I click on the new student, I am going to put that student information. And then once I put in that student information, I will go ahead and save. So then you'll see that that student, the updates have been saved. You'll see the green bar across the top, and session changes need to be saved separately, but you'll see that that student was already pulled into the test session. And then you'll just click save. So that student has been added manually to that test session. So while I'm in here, because I'm gonna have to go back and show you general information and to upload multiple students, I will have to go into the student detail. I am gonna show you the ticket status for the students. So once you're in here, you're gonna click on the underneath the action. You're going to look at the one that kind of looks like a calendar, or a graphing paper, and you'll hover over that, and you'll click on that. It's edit print ticket status. You'll click on that. And then once you're in there, you'll see underneath the status that the students have not started yet. Our window is not open yet, so these students have not started testing. If you do have, let's say you have 20 some students in this test session, you're only going to get, a page of like 8 per page. You can click on the status. If you have students that are already completed, it will flip the status. So it would put the not started on the bottom and the completed on the top. So you can rearrange it that way as you're going through the testing process. So that is how you check the student status. And now I am going to go into the general information first. All right, and then you'll go underneath general information, you'll check the documents. And you should have the drop down for this year for sure. You can click underneath document type all, and it should pull up that information. This is where we would also put the information for those forms and the manuals. That will be permission based though, because we don't want everybody to have, if we know that your site is Form A, we want you to have access to Form A. So we won't be giving permission to every site for every form. So, but this is where you'll find that. And if you are set up as the DTC for your site, you will have access to this. If you do need access, you'll have to reach out to the DRC customer service or NDE, and we will get you guys set up. So currently you'll find we have the DRC Insight Portal Guide and the TUG available on this site. And then now I'm going to go back to student management and show you how to upload multiple students. And this is what would need to be done if a test session is not created for that grade. So I'm going into student management, manage students, and then I would click on upload multiple students. You have a file layout as well as a sample file. The file layout, you can just click on them. The file layout is going to tell you exactly what is required for each field. And it'll tell you all the rules, the formatting. It's easy to use. And the sample file, I would suggest if you are uploading multiple students to open this up. You want to take a look at it. You can delete all of the dummy information in here. And when I say dummy information, this is all mocked up data. So you can delete row 2 through row 7 and just keep the headers in there and put in your student information, save it to your desktop or wherever you need to save it to a zip drive or whatever. And then you will upload that file. Upload that file, you'll click browse, find that file and upload it. And then once you do upload it, you'll see it in those notes again on the step-by-step. And you also saw the green bar as to when I added that student. It will say that you uploaded a file and is this file correct? You want to make sure that that file is free of errors. Just because it says that the file was uploaded doesn't necessarily mean it was free of errors. What it means is that it uploaded any information that was correct. So let's say I had 10 students, 3 of them were incorrect, but 7 of them were correct. It would upload those 7 students, but those 3 had some incorrect information or information that didn't match the file layout. It will not upload them. So you want to make sure to check the file or the error report and make sure that that information is correct for those students. All right, do we have any questions regarding adding students to an existing session, student status, adding them to a session that hasn't been created yet, and general information?
Not in the chat.
Okay. All right, are we seeing the PowerPoint again?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so these are the dates for reporting. So you'll be able to view the online results for preliminary raw scores for operational items in completed status during the testing window. For the preliminary reports, we have TBB in June. We have science standard setting that is happening. So our dates are not yet confirmed. We are working with NDE right now to confirm those preliminary report dates in June and also the final report dates in August. So we should have an update here for districts here shortly, but we do not have firm dates on those yet. And results are not released to districts until public release of reports. NDE will provide information on the public release of the 2022 NSCAS results as it becomes available. And do we have any questions? That is the end of the PowerPoint. So do we have any additional questions from folks?
You can feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions if you want.
And then Mike from Ralston, I'm working with Sharon to figure out why you're not seeing your students, just so you know. And then the slides are going to be available on both the NDE website as well as the DRC Insight portal.
And if you have questions on not having access to the DRC Insight portal, or you're not seeing what you believe to be seeing, as Chandra just said, in as far as your student information in the system, reach out to the DRC customer service or NDE with questions regarding that. The DRC customer service phone number and email address is right on your screen right now. And if you have any other questions that don't pop into your mind right now, you think about it later or next week, feel free to reach out with any questions. We're here to help.
Mike, okay, I think it would be probably best for you to contact DRC customer service about your situation with the kid, senior students, if you're still on the line.
Well, I'm going to say thank you to everybody who attended. DRC and NDE will be here for a few minutes yet, but if you feel free to drop if you do not have any questions at this time. Again, reach out to DRC customer service via phone or email if you have any questions. Thank you again for joining us.
And Sharon, I'm gonna have, we'll reach out to Mike. It doesn't look like he's on the phone on the line anymore.
All right, well, at this point, I want to thank everybody for joining us. We're going to go ahead and sign off. Again, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to DRC customer service or NDE. Have a great Friday, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Wyatt.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye,
Bye.
Chandra.
Yeah, but goodbye, Sharon. Have a great weekend, okay?